What's up, world? You are in tune to Marvelous Talk with your main man, Big G. What up, Big G?
What's up? What's up?
What's up? We got Dane with us today. Dane, what's popping?
What's cracking, people?
And of course, it's your main man, Mark. We are definitely here for you and yours in this week's version of Marvelous Talk. Listen, I'm having withdrawals already, you guys. I'm definitely having withdrawals. I don't know if I can handle not having a Marvel series to actually look at, but where we at right now, man, I'm just saying, I definitely understand the break that they're giving us, but man, I don't want it. What about you guys? You guys having some withdrawals like I am?
Little bit. Well, the beautiful thing is they put up another episode of Assembled. That's the behind the scenes joint that talks about stuff. And this one, of course, that they just put up covering the behind the scenes stuff involving the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I love that. I mean, that answered a lot of things to me. Just seeing it, with all the stuff that they did to make that series so amazing. It was a great. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But yeah, so that gave me a little bit of fix from having something on Fridays. And of course, we got stuff that we can binge watch now. We can go back and pick up on the stuff that we missed. So
yeah, and knowing us, we probably will do that. What about you, Big G? How you feel about it?
Man, y'all know I'm a Marvel fanatic, man. So for me, I'm feeling some kind of way. I really do. I need content 24/7, man. I'm going back and doing deep dives on trailers, and I done seen the new Shang-Chi trailer about 10 times. Watched the Loki trailer about 10 times. Man, I'm ready, man. Because the definition of a fan is a fanatic, And so for me, without content, I'm scratching and itching and scratching.
But fiending.
it's whatever though. Because
you got some more of that Marvel over there.
Yeah, just a little bit of the Marvel. I just need a little hit.
Like Dave Chappelle. He like Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
More of that Marvel over there.
Yeah, I just need a little bit. But I'm excited though, man, because like I said, even with the trailer drops with the Shang-Chi and the Loki and the picture they put up of Miss Marvel, man, I'm like, man, come on, man. Let's go. Let's do what we do. So, I'm excited.
And yeah, definitely. I mean, so, we're here and of course we're talking all things Marvel and we're getting it talking here at Marvelous Talk. And one thing I don't have to say this time is there are no spoilers. Definitely. So you guys don't have to come back. You can just stay right where you are and continue to listen. Now, unless you haven't watched the whole series of Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision, but then I don't know why you clicked on this if you haven't. Anyway, so we're going to just kind of move past that whole thing. Definitely, we want to jump into some reviews, though. We want to talk about where we're at in Phase 4, right? This is a new phase for Marvel right now. And in Phase 4, we've had a couple of things. We've had WandaVision. First we got Spider-Man Far From Home. Then we got WandaVision. Then we got Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right? Or Captain America and the Winter Soldier, as it was called afterwards. Yes, I love it. So let's set the timeline for that right now. So you guys don't know, we had Endgame. So you had Endgame. And right after Endgame, the first thing that you were supposed to see or the first thing that you are seeing is WandaVision. WandaVision happens right after Endgame. Okay. So and it's just weeks after. That's why you saw that whole thing happen in WandaVision. Now the second piece, the second thing that happened was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which happened right after, right? So Falcon and the Winter Soldier happened right after WandaVision, and Spider-Man Far From Home happened 8 months after the events of the blip. So there's your timeline. There's your whole timeline set. And definitely let's talk about that because we want to just begin to start painting the picture, how they're painting the picture. So what did you guys think about those three movies or that one movie and the two series that we got. What do you guys think?
I heard somebody doing a commentary briefly about that. And what's interesting is that they chose to start us after the blip with Spider-Man. And like you said, it's months. It's months after the blip. But then we had these other series that take place closer, almost immediately after it. So immediately in my mind, I start thinking, what else is going to happen between the time between what we saw, like you said, 8-9 months out from, for Spider-Man? How many more things have occurred, that are going to have an impact moving forward? Now, without a doubt, everything that we've seen from both WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, there have been some introduced, things, items that we're going to see a recurring theme. Man, what is there left to happen? Or is there anything, So that's in my mind, that's what my mind starts going is, what else is going to happen? Think about it. They already unpacked a lot on us. We're not even talking about Spider-Man being discovered by the whole world. That's just one element. But then you got Wanda with all her drama, and now you got the power broke. So I'm saying, man, like, what else is there that they're gonna throw in the mix? So that's what I'm wondering about.
Totally lost on this whole thing too, man. G, what did you think?
Well, I think that they learned something as far as the Marvel production and whatnot concerning how to deal with timeline. The grandioso moment that they've done as far as the original phase 1 through 3 series was, they rewound the tape on us with Black Panther, which showed all kind of success. And then they turned around and rewound the tape on us a second time with Captain Marvel. They went backwards on us twice. And those movies, as far as box office dollars and whatnot, was big, big, big money. So, there's always a lot of speculation, and especially like for people like me. Heck, I do a whole show called The Rabbit Hole with spins and drops and going on whatever else. So now where you see, Wanda, Vision, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or Captain America and the Winter Soldier, you're definitely given ideas or ideology to close the circle or close the gap. So I'm digging it. I'm digging it because it gives you room to speculate and turn around after speculation to put some content to actually what's going on in the MCU. So to me, I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, and definitely. So there were some characters that were introduced in this whole thing, right? There were characters that were introduced. We got from Spider-Man Far From Home, we got this guy. We got Mr. Mysterio.
I didn't like him.
Definitely a character that was introduced into the MCU that we didn't have previously. And when we're talking about these extra added characters, these characters are going to set the frame of phase 4 moving forward, right? They're not wasting any type of content or any type of character material. If the character is going to be irrelevant, I hate it like they did with Battlestar. You introduced him, you killed him off. We're going to talk about, them, the Flag Smashers. These are guys who, Flag Smasher was one guy and they made him a whole team, and, it came, it saw, it didn't conquer, it was over.
She prophesied her own doom. We don't kill folks that don't matter.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't matter anymore.
Yeah,
you got 6 shows, baby girl, and that's it. It's all over.
That's it. Get your shine on, girl. Get your shine on. We out of here after that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you can go be a teacher or something. I don't know.
Mama Danya. She be the new Mama Danya.
She with Mama Danya. Then the next character that we had, and we were all hype about, was this character, of course. And when I say she played her part, she played her part. We had the introduction of Agatha Harkness. And, when we talk about Agatha, she's a prominent character in the MCU for a couple of different reasons. And G can really expand on that a little bit more. G, just expand on that briefly about who Agatha Harkness is, just give us about a 3-minute synopsis of Agatha Harkness real quick.
Well, they're transforming comic book content into the MCU or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Agatha Harkness is, for most people, she's a backdrop character that appears over and over and over again, all the way from the original rendition of Fantastic Four number 141, where she was the nanny of Franklin Richards, to her being a mentor for Wanda Maximoff and her transformation into the Scarlet Witch. So they gave us a little bit of that backdrop in the MCU, but they also made her what I think is a pivotal character moving forward. She's going to do more than just be the antagonist for Wanda Maximoff in the series. I think when it's all said and done, especially with the big series, the big movie that's coming up, Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, she's going to play a pivotal role, because you got to remember, this lady is like on the line or on the lineage of Sorcerer Supreme. Her mother is literally the very first Sorcerer Supreme. And I'm glad they spun it like that in the MCU. And we're talking about all the way back to the Atlantis, the original foundation of Atlantis, when it was on the earth before it sunk to the bottom of the sea. I mean, there's a lot of content that they're going to spin us with Agatha Harkness. So I was glad for the character development, and I was also glad for the close content that it had with the MCU versus the comic book. Because, and that's the whole thing I'm going to talk about later on. The whole anti-hero thing that's coming up, y'all, and they're showing more and more and more. If there was ever a definition of anti-hero, Agatha Harkness is in the dictionary talking about, how you doing? Nice to meet you. That is her for real. So, that's just my spin on it.
And Dave, what did you think about Agatha Harkness's character as a whole, as far as how she played it, how she depicted it in the MCU? What did you think about it?
She killed it. She killed it. I mean, man, the way that she portrayed that role, and man, we was on the fence because we didn't know what to think of her. In fact, most of us was kind of leaning, oh man, they gonna introduce some Mephisto or we were saying Grim Reaper, we were saying everybody else, and Agatha was like maybe on the 25%, you know what I'm saying? But then when they did the big reveal, our mouths just hit the ground because they're like, wow, they going there. So and yeah, man, she played that role. I mean, hands down, there was hints that they were gonna go that route, but when they went there, and the little lovely little, Agatha all the time, that was just ingenious, man.
Shout out to all along.
I can't think of my man that did the trap version of that. But if y'all haven't seen that, Google it. Hey, I was jamming that the other day, man.
So we still, I think we all knew that Agatha was coming. We knew that it was her. The brooch gave all that away. I think the Mephisto thing, we're still looking for Mephisto, and Sean is still looking for the Grim Reaper. I think we both are still looking for the Grim Reaper. We're gonna find them somewhere. You know what I'm saying? We gonna find them in one of these shows. I mean, definitely. But they had us spinning, which leads us to the introduction of another character in WandaVision, who we still don't know who this guy is. I mean, but we know that he's gonna play a part of what's happening in the MCU moving forward. We still just don't know who Director Hayward is. Director Hayward is. What'd you say, Dan?
He's a dirty dog.
Well, he's probably that too. But I mean, we believe that he's somebody. I mean, he could be the Grim Reaper. He could be somebody. We just don't know who it is. And of course, we got a good look at the Young Avengers. A couple of members of the Young Avengers. They were spawned literally, and of Mephisto's. She is a Mephisto soul. So that's why we were looking for Mephisto. I just want to put that out there. We weren't just looking for something out of the clear blue. They just led us on. They didn't, finish it. Anyway, definitely you got Wiccan, you got Speed, the Young Avengers, and give us a little bit about them, just a little bit.
Right. Young Avengers is like the next storyline or the next great team. And I've said from the beginning, as far as the production lines of the shows, they're setting up heroes, new heroes, anti-heroes, a super team of evil villains, and the ones that's going to carry the torch. So in every show or series that we've had so far, we've had multiple renditions of Young Avengers, and we know that there's ones outside even the shows we saw. You know, Kate Bishop's definitely going to be, you know, the new Hawkeye. We know that Ant-Man's daughter is coming back as Stature. So, you know, the Young Avengers super team, if you guys like the whole concept of the setup for the Avengers, and I got to make this clear real quick, we are more or less 616 universe is not the timeline in the MCU. The MCU is more closer to the Ultimates timeline or Ultimate comic book run than it is the 616. It's got elements of the 616, but we're very close to the Ultimates. So by them setting up Wiccan and Speed very early on, lets you know that they're going to play a pivotal part because, like I said, the culminating thing for this or the big movie at the end of all these phases is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So Wiccan and Speed are huge characters. You know, when one's got the powers of his uncle, the other one's got the powers of his mother. So you'll see. You'll see what's really they're about here coming up shortly.
And Dane, talk to me, man. Director Howard, you have strong feelings about him. And also Wiccan and Speed. What do you think about their characters and who they picked to actually portray them in the MCU? What do you think about that, Dane?
You talking about the twins?
Yeah.
The twins were excellent. I hated that they did away with them, but I know that it's not the last that we're going to see of them. Definitely going to see them again. But no, the way those two little young guys played those roles and the attributes, as you could see how they were growing into their powers, that was pretty cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of Tommy and his brother, man, because I know that, like I said, moving forward, they're definitely, and it'd be awesome when we see them next time they are not the same size, because we saw them, they changed size 3 times in this series. So when they come back, I don't think they're gonna be the same size. It's just my hypothesis.
Me neither. And me and Big G were kind of talking about a theory that we have, you know, moving forward. You know, and we're gonna get into that a little later. We're definitely gonna get into that. But let's walk through these characters. The next character that we had introduced, of course, is this character, Monica Rambeau, who we know is going to end up being this character. Definitely, you guys, what did you think about? Now, I definitely have to give my 2 cents at this point. I really feel like that she was well done. I loved her arc, right? I loved her arc because she had the opportunity to be touched with the same trauma that Wanda did, right? Losing her mother and coming back to a world that she didn't recognize, same kind of trauma that Wanda went through. You know, she's in a world that she doesn't recognize anymore. So, yeah, I mean, but she dealt with it the right way. She dealt with it with class. She dealt with it with honor. And, you know, Monica was definitely a soldier. So when it comes back to it, I like how her character was, her character arc was portrayed. Now, Sean, give us a little bit more about Photon. Talk to us about Monica Rambeau.
Well, you know, we don't really know yet if she's Photon or is she Spectrum. I know that her powers are more along the Spectrum viewpoint and whatnot, but you know, from comic book sense, she was Captain Marvel first, then she changed her name to Photon, and then finally settled in on the name Spectrum. This is laid down in the Ultimate timeline or Ultimate run, which supports my theory that the MCU is closer to the Ultimate time run than it is the 616 universe. But you know, it's a good thing how they portrayed her, because her powers in the comic book was developed directly from her involvement or engagement with Carol Danvers, who we all know is Captain Marvel in the MCU, but from the comic books as well. So, like I said, the development of the character is great, but this is the part that I really picked up on after like taking a big step backwards and taking a more of a less a bird's eye view of what's going on with the MCU. You know, and when you go back and look at the phase 3 movies and how, like I said, they went backwards and they showed us, okay, Captain Marvel was actually the second movie in the timeline behind Captain America, the first Avenger, right? And so they went back in that series and gave us a character that was tied to that all the way back in the beginning of the MCU, or what we know. So now, having it come full circle, it's setting up this idea that you're going to see kids literally grow up in front of your eyes and develop and become characters. So I say all that to say a theory that my wife and my daughter has been telling me all the time. You got to pay attention to the kids, because they're not putting them in the movies just to put them in the movies. They're projecting a timeline for us that's going to go on for the next 20 or 30 years. So I'm loving how they developed her character, and they took her from a little smaller child all the way to now this young adult that has these superpowers, which we don't really know what they are, but we know she's got them, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, as we're moving on, I can't really skate past these because we had these characters before, but you know, they're different people now. You know, you had Wanda Maximoff, and you know, now she's no longer Wanda Maximoff. She's Scarlet Witch, full blown, right? So, you know, totally we got a new character inside of her. And then also we got my boy. You know, we definitely get a chance to get my boy. And that's this guy, White Vision. You know, Vashon left and White Vision came back. You know, Vashon was there. And,
wow.
We got White Vision after we got Vashon, but you know, Vashon kind of left some of his know-how with White Vision. You guys kind of real quickly kind of depict in these characters and share with, you know, the public what you thought about these two characters' development, where Vision going to White Vision and Wanda going to definitely the Scarlet Witch. Dane, what you think about that?
I thought it was interesting to see they filled in the gaps from Endgame, you know, when we didn't. And it's amazing, even for those actors, I mean, definitely Paul Bettany that played Vision, you know, he thought it was over for him. But it's amazing that they wrote a whole new, now we got a whole new Vision that we have no idea how they're going to bring him back. You know, possibly West Coast Avengers. Don't know, but his arc was interesting. Definitely Wanda's arc was interesting. But one thing I want to circle back to is what you said about Monica Rambeau. She was the perfect textbook illustration of how everything should have been handled correctly. She didn't place blame on people, though she could have, because she went through a lot herself. But she took on the responsibility of a hero. You know what I'm saying? And Wanda could have had that same. In fact, she did have the opportunity, but the very beginning of how she dealt with it, other people had to pay the price of her, you know, grief and her anguish, losing Vision. So seeing both of those arcs between the Vision, who was not even real in her world, to the Vision that they brought in and how that Vision was transformed, and then seeing Wanda, it's just curious to see what's going to happen to her in that Multiverse of Madness movie. Like, how over the deep end is she really gonna go? I mean, we thought that she went over the deep end in Westview, but man, now that she knows who she is, and we seen at the very end with her with that book, I'm kind of nervous, fellas. So,
and you know, real quickly, Sean, and I'm talking about real quickly, 2-3 minutes. Explain the theory we were talking about with the dark hole and Wanda in that book. Explain it real quick.
Well, you know, the Dark Hole is a book that's just like one of the books that was in the Doctor Strange movie. You know, Doctor Strange was messing around with a book, and they told him, "Hey man, Dormammu can come out of this about you messing with time." Mm-hmm. Well, now you got to take the book, which is the Dark Hole, and multiply that times 50. You know, and she's, you know, at the end of the WandaVision, she's teleported and projected herself and reading the book while she's sipping on coffee. So, you know, like they really went to that ultimate timeline, because, you know, in the MCU, she's not necessarily a mutant. We don't know that, you know, but in the ultimate timeline, they rewrote the character. So, you know, she's moving into this entity of the Scarlet Witch that's just been going on for she's a Nexus being. just for lack of terms. And if y'all don't know that, there's a rabbit hole show out talking about what a Nexus being really is.
Yeah, so definitely, I think, and Agnes even told her, Agatha told her, hey, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you let loose with this book. Definitely, that's some stuff that we're gonna find out a little bit later. But the next character that was introduced in this phase that we're seeing here at Marvel is a good one. It's my guy, Isaiah Bradley. Isaiah Bradley, definitely first Captain America, first Avenger. He looked mean. He kind of looked like the character and looked like he really caused havoc back there. We know he was cold because he whooped Winter Soldier and tore half his arm off. So we know he was nice with it. We know he was nice with it. Definitely, real quickly, you guys, tell me what you thought about Isaiah Bradley's introduction and this character being brought into the MCU.
It was excellent. It was excellent. I wasn't anticipating when we got the glimpse of him, which we did. For those of who understood the credit scene, the very first credit scene when the very first episode showed, you saw his picture, like, whoa, are they going there? Are they going? And right off the bat, episode 2, he was in there and was a recurring theme kind of throughout, and then the resolution of how they did it, man, was it just felt so good just to see this character who had been wronged. There was a way to rectify the situation. So I loved it. I loved the way they portrayed it. It was excellent.
What about you?
Yeah, comic book wise, Isaiah Bradley was as close as you can get to the comic book line. His backdrop story and setup story was just like unbelievable. But I'm glad. But let me say this, and I'm just gonna be real quick about this, man. There would be no Sam Wilson without the development of Isaiah Bradley. You couldn't have spun the story and made it right, because for us comic book heads, we knew that there was a black Captain America way before Sam Wilson. So I'm glad they went back, set the timeline right, gave homage to him, and also helped us introduce probably who Ma's going to talk to you about the next character,
Yeah,
absolutely. You can't have one without the other one.
Can't have one without the other. And when we met Isaiah, we also met this young man who definitely talks a mean talk, was even talking that talk to Bucky, knowing exactly who Bucky was, is this young fella. This young fella, definitely another one of the Young Avengers, but it's Eli Bradley. And
man, what you want, Black Falcon?
Elijah
this guy talked a lot of cash. Like at the door, he was like, "You're not getting in here." Basically what you back for on the other one.
What you want, Black Falcon?
He told him, "Look, I'll be back there." Like, why should I be scared of you? And even Sam told him, "Hey, man, you need
to learn some manners."
Absolutely. So, Eli was talking some cash. So I think to me, when I think the writers did a good job of kind of foreshadowing who this kid is, because he walked with a big stick. I mean, did you get that, Dang? Did you get the same type of air about the character that I got?
Most definitely. I mean, he seemed like he's a little older than what he appears to be. He's supposed to be a teenager, but he acting like a grown man, got a job and everything. Like, what you coming to my house for? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
definitely. What do you think, G?
Man, the arc is perfect. I mean, comic book heads, we know Patriot is an arrogant dude, but he has to be in order to be the leader of the Young Avengers. He's an arrogant dude. So they set him up like perfect. And they also gave enough room for his character for him to be mentored by Sam Wilson. So, you're going to see the passing of the torch because, like I said, even though he carries the name Patriot, he literally is the next generation's Captain America. So, it's perfect.
I think that's a good point, G. I think you brought a good point up, bro. Like, when you think about it, here's this kid who, we don't know if Isaiah's gonna not be or if he's gonna pass in the next time we see him. And Sam would be the best person. He has respect for Sam now because of what Sam did. Sam would be the best person to teach him the ropes and, kind of help him when he finds out he has power. Because I think that's going to be a shock to Sam when he finds out that the young man has power. And then the next guy here, I'm going to let Dame talk about this guy. He's not even, they weren't even super soldiers. They weren't even super soldiers.
Oh, man. Do we have to talk about John Walker?
Yeah, definitely you get Agent Walker. So tell us a little bit about Agent Walker.
So John Walker, man, as y'all can see, he was the one that they introduced as the new Captain America after Sam relinquished the shield. After, I just want to preface that because if Sam would have kept the shield, this dude wouldn't even have a job. But Sam relinquished the shield and they give it to this Joker. And from the time we see him on for the rest of the episodes, he's a big whiner. He's a big crybaby, man. Just, always got something to say. Or, at one episode where he had the guy in Germany, do you know who I am? The guy's like speaking in German, but he got to that point, he was like, who cares who you are? Like, nobody giving this dude respect, man. He just like we call him Make-A-Wish Captain America. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like
Al Bundy.
Yeah, it's like
Rodney Dangerfield of Captain America.
Right?
He gives no respect.
Yeah, man. So he's just, he's all about himself, full of himself. And when the serious situation comes about, he's not looking out for anybody but his own interests. You know what I'm saying? You never seen the shield bloodied until you put it in Agent Walker's hand. And
right.
So, yeah, man, I thought his character, but he played his role. You know what I'm saying? He set himself up to say, literally, he did not belong as Captain America, but he's definitely a U.S. agent.
Right. And, the one thing we do know about him is he's all about self. U.S. agent ain't never been about nobody other, and that's accurate to the comic books. This brother cares about U.S. agent and only U.S. agent. He want all the good things in life to happen to U.S. agent and only U.S. agent. You know what I mean? That's what that is. And definitely the next character that we got a sneak peek and an introduction to, which I thought they really spun this out real well, is we got a chance to look at the new Falcon. Torres is going to end up being the new Falcon. We know this, one, because of comic book. Two, Sam gave him his old quick. Kind of passed the torch. He gave him his old, he told him keep them. They wouldn't have never put those, they wouldn't have put that in there if they didn't mean for this to be the introduction of somebody and another pivotal character. And then of course we got a chance to see this guy become something special. We got an opportunity to see Falcon become the next Captain America, and that suit is just brilliant. That suit is brilliant.
Hey man, can I tell y'all something? I don't know if y'all saw that in the assembled series, but they said that there was no way they could make the flap on the inside not stick to his face. And the fact that anytime they showed a scene with him, they CGI'd that, man. I'm like, Marvel, man, y'all are just so on point with the digital work. And I'm like, that blew my mind, man. I'm like, that little of a detail, they didn't want that thing flapping out. They wanted it to be flush. I'm like, that's just crazy.
Hey, but you have to, for the suits, everybody is looking for the suits to be as accurate as possible.
Absolutely. Yep.
I mean, that's one of the first thing that comic book heads is bugging out about is the suit. If the suit didn't look right, oh my God, it's wrong suit, wrong. So I mean, you get that. So definitely, I was really excited to see him take up the mantle and become Captain America. So we saw all of these characters. I kind of have to leave my impression with when we talk about, what we've seen in phase 4 and, the characters that's been introduced. I really feel like at some point they're going to have to explain mutation. They're going to have to explain mutant and the introduction of them. You know what I mean? Because Monica's powers have already came that way. You know what I mean? Monica's power came from coming through the hex all them times. And, you know, she had the quote unquote gene, and it changed her on a molecular level. And then, I mean, if you go back and you think about it, the same thing with Carol Danvers. She was exposed to something that had changed her, right? So, I mean, you can kind of see the writing on the wall. The mutants are coming not really fast, but they definitely are doing a good job of easing it on in the back door. What you think about that, Dane?
Absolutely. I mean, they're taking their time, and I mean, I'm telling you, there's so much material out there that they got to cover that it's like if they're giving us little hints here and there, fine, I welcome it. Because like I mentioned at the very beginning, when you talked about the timeline, man, how much more stuff we got to fill in that gap before we get to, you know, that period where we are at where Far From Home, you know, got to. So yeah, man, but I agree with you. I think they're slowly but surely kind of just giving us morsels. And then I think when they introduce it all, it's just going to be like anything else. It's going to all make sense. They're going to be like, wow. So that's why they did this. And that's why they did this. Because we know they waste nothing.
Nothing. And G, what did you think about that? What do you think about how Phase 4 has went to and transitioning into the mutant aspect of things?
The writings on the wall from the acquisition of the Fox properties to Kevin Feige and the MCU boys, you know, but the big thing is they left the mystery in it. You know, like how Dame said, you're going to be able to, like, 3-4 shows, 2-3 movies up the road, you'll be able to go back and see that, oh, this is how that connects to this, and this is how that connects to that. You know, but I'm glad they didn't close the door on the whole concept of the Inhumans as well. Because, you know, we all know, and for those that's like me that's just been looking for content, we see this picture of Miss Marvel, you know, out there, and you talking about pinpoint comic book accurate. I mean, she's more on the money than Falcon was, and Falcon was on the money, you know. So we don't know if this, you know, young lady is going to get her powers exposed because of dealing with Captain Marvel, or exposed to a stone, or is it Terrigen Mist, or is she born a mutant and something happens and she gets that? So I'm glad they left the door open, but we just know that mutants are coming. We know that because of the acquisition. So that makes it even more exciting for me, because you can revisit all these characters that I just think Fox did a horrible job with depicting, and now we actually get to see really comic book accurate layout of characters, even down to suits. You know, like, you know, because like Ma said, most comic book heads, you know, that's why a lot of us hate Fox, because we're like, man, what in the world? This ain't no. But on the MCU, even with the respin, because now you had 3 Avengers, White Vision, pinpoint accurate, Scarlet Witch, pinpoint accurate, Falcon, now the new Cap, pinpoint accurate. So I'm anxious to see where we're going, you know, as far as these characters. USA, pinpoint accurate, pinpoint accurate.
Pinpoint accurate.
Yeah. Shout out to that lovely Fox movie, New Mutants.
Oh my God, it's horrible. It's horrible, but that's just me. You know?
Come on, G. Getting people an Oscar for that amazing performance, bro.
Listen, man, I'm going to tell you the truth. There's so much that Fox left me hanging with. I mean, you know, when you hungry and you'll just take it, I mean, it don't really taste good, but you're going to eat it anyway because you're just hungry, right?
Yeah.
That was my Fox experience. It really wasn't like the best, but I'll take it because I was hungry for superhero content, right?
Well, I'm going to tell y'all this. I'm going to preface that. Now, to me, the first 3 X-Men movie, they were decent with, you know, Patrick Stewart and them. Those were decent. Even Days of Future Past, I think that was the very last one that was decent. Them other joints that they did, man.
You had great actors. You had Patrick Stewart's a great actor. You know what I mean? I've loved him since he was Picard. I mean, when you have great actors, you're gonna be good with that. You know, even when they recast the young Patrick Stewart, they did a great job. I mean, the young Professor X, they did a great job. The young Magneto, the old Magneto. Great job in casting characters. The problem has always been writing.
Mm-hmm.
The problem has always been writing and character development.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
you're right.
You look at Hugh Jackman. Wolverine. Hugh Jackman is like immortalized as Wolverine. There's certain characters that or certain people who are going to forever be known for that character. He's going to forever be known for Wolverine. You know what I mean? I mean, Wesley Snipes is going to forever be known for Blade. Don't even get me started on how I don't like this Mahershala pick for Blade. But I'm just not even going to go there. Really, I'm going to leave it to myself. Come on, man. What?
Well, Vaughn,
I believe in Mahershala.
Right.
I believe in him. He's gonna be all right, man.
That's why Kevin Feige backed up, because what most of us wanted from a comic book standpoint was, oh man, Marvel's gonna acquire Fox. Let's roll with it. Well, he's given us a big gap, man, before he's even talking about mutants and stuff like that.
Yep.
Because like you said, the actors, that played those characters are iconic actors. And like you said, the big one is Hugh Jackman. How in the world do you introduce, a James Howlett or Logan or whoever you want to call him into the MCU, without people being so critical based on the work, the character development that Hugh Jackman did with him.
And
so
I'm going to be critical. He ain't going to eat. Look, is Hugh Jackman a bust for me? It is what it is. You know what I mean?
That's why he's taking.
He'll change.
That's why he's taking his time. That's why he's taking his time, because it's important sometimes to let that kind of stuff go in the backdrop. If you notice, not having to do with anything science fiction, but if you notice how people appreciated Creed, because we had not seen no Rocky nothing for years. So to have that fresh take on the Rocky story with Creed, and the fact that Ryan Coogler nailed it the way he did. Yeah. So sometimes you gotta let them characters. He don't miss. Yeah. Ryan Coogler just don't miss. You know what I mean? So listen, you guys, we are done with our recap, but we have a couple of sessions we want to hit on. First would be Marvelous Talk News, and definitely, Dane, take it away. Tell us what we can expect that's happening right now in the Marvel Universe. So, guys, check this out. There's this article that I found on Screen Rant, and I just want to bring it up because I thought it brought up an interesting synopsis that we can lay here on the show and just get the fellas' perspective. And we'd love to get your perspective as well. Now, picture this. In the Marvel Universe, we have two amazing characters with amazing abilities. And imagine if we put them in the ring, okay? Let's paint this picture. On the right corner, we've got the Mad Titan himself, Thanos, okay? On the left corner, left-hand side of the ring, you got the Juggernaut. Fellas, let's talk. Who do you think would win that contest?
Thanos, hands down.
Hands down.
It's not even a fight.
It's not. I mean, Thanos is whooping his behind. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Thanos is hauling him. Okay, now so give me some proof. Give me some evidence of how, because now Big G can be perfect for this. Tell us the attributes of both of them briefly, and then why you think Thanos would take it. And then I want Mars' perspective.
Juggernaut is an Earth-based mutant. Yeah, he's super strong, super powerful. Yeah, he can go toe-to-toe with the Hulk. But like I said, toe-to-toe with the Hulk. You seen what Thanos did to the Hulk, right? You see, he caught a beat down. So, Thanos's powers are cosmic, and he's an Eternal. He's one generation removed from Deviant and Eternal, which we got a huge Eternal movie coming out. So, you'll really, for those that don't have the respect for Thanos and who he is, you're going to get it coming up. And you're like, from a retrospective standpoint, to understand how powerful them Deviants and them Eternals really are. He's off the chain. So it's hands down, beat down. And, so to add to what G is talking, you never saw Thanos take a L except to one person. And that person was hauling him, but she did not haul him with physical strength. She hauled him with the same power
that ran through his veins. So yeah, at that point we fighting person on person. So if we going strength on strength, Thanos is going whoop Juggernaut, take his little old helmet off and twirl it like a thumb, like a basketball around his finger. I mean, literally, he's going to whoop the dog snot out of Juggernaut. You know, it just is what it is.
All right. I rest my case. I was just reading that because apparently there is in the works a series that's going to explore them battling each other. It's going to be interesting. Okay. So next in the news, let me see what else I saw that was really interesting to me. Oh, so recently, Daily Mail has in story that apparently someone by the name of Michael B. Jordan, you guys might know that guy. He was in a little movie, not too big, but a little movie called Black Panther. He is addressing in this article the possibility of maybe sort of returning as Eric Killmonger. And the fact he puts it like this, that he would be very open to it. Now, fellas, if somebody says that they're very open to it, speculation-wise, I'm starting to think he is part of the cast. He can't reveal it, of course, because that would just give a lot away. But what do y'all think? Do you think that there's a possibility that we would see Eric Killmonger brought back?
Well, think about this. If you want to think along these lines, and here's the facts. Knowing what we know about T'Challa is a good man. You know, his father even knew that. He says it's hard for a good man to be king, right? T'Challa's a good man. He did not want to see Killmonger die. That was his blood. He didn't want to see him die. So part of my mind says that he didn't let him die. Part of my mind, I mean, you think about it, he didn't want to be, Killmonger was just, I mean, he was activated. You know what I'm saying? He was an activist. So he dying to him just, it was part of it. He had already set up in his mind to go. But, what would happen if, this is the same group of people that ripped the Winter Soldier program out of Bucky, right? So what if, he survived and, started to live in this whole society? That's 5 years unaccounted for in Wakandan history. 5 years. They didn't have a king, or did they? So, literally anything happened in this story because of, we got a 5-year gap that's missing.
Yeah, it's impossible for them to, in my opinion, to move forward with the Black Panther storyline without Michael B. Jordan. It's impossible. Just like, and we've talked about this off camera, I'm so glad that the MCU is going along this whole thing and like people really can't die. We keep seeing people come back because that's what happened in the comics. In the comics, you think somebody was dead, and the next thing you know, they right back. You're like, whoa, wait a minute, where'd this guy come back from? We saw him get smashed to atoms. But so Killmonger, to me, that character would be the perfect bridge with the loss of T'Challa, as far as in the natural world is concerned. He's the perfect bridge, to rewrite that storyline of Black Panther, because it's got to be somebody from the royal family that has to carry the mantle of Panther,
very true,
and or King. So it's either got to be Shuri, there's another relative out there somewhere, or Michael B. Jordan. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, definitely.
Good stuff, definitely. Fellas. All right, G, I got a question for you. Are you familiar with a comic run called Marvel 1602?
Oh yeah.
Get this, and I'm definitely going to have you expound on it. So there is a rumor, fellas, that the next installment of the Avengers could possibly explore the greatest time travel story in Marvel Comics history, and it's this Marvel 1602. That would be insane. G, why don't you give them a kind of a filler just briefly on what the Marvel 1602 is about?
Okay, so real quick, Marvel 1602 is them saying that Marvel characters existed close to the timeline of the foundation of America, right? And like these characters, like the ones that you see in our modern times, are direct descendants of characters who had powers and backdrop stories and histories of just like how you got the characters now. So like for like the mutant thing, they would be called witches and warlocks and soothsayers from back during that time, you know. And so like there's a whole, man, when if you get an opportunity, go check out the 1602, because they did spins on the X-Men, spins on the Avengers, spins on the Fantastic Four, spin on Spider-Man. I mean, they backdropped a whole lot of characters. But if you read those books, you will get a direct linkage and lineage to the people right now. So I would love to see that in the MCU, man.
Absolutely.
I would love to see it.
I think it makes perfect sense with all of the things that we're going to start seeing with time. I mean, it would be insane. Amar, what you think of that? What would you think of a storyline like that where they went back in time and had alternate realities of themselves?
Well, you know, I'm going to just defer. I'm going to defer on this one. It's the first defer. I think it would be cool, but definitely, I don't know, man. Right now, I feel like we're already living in an alternate timeline as far as the MCU is concerned, right? We're already there. How do we know that we're already there? Well, let's talk about the fact that Tony Stark was supposed to have been born by the time that he met his father in Avengers Endgame. We know this because of the hidden scene that, or the end credit scene that they put in Iron Man 3, where he says that he was 14 and still had a nanny. He was talking to Banner. Remember, Banner was going to see, and he was like, you know, I'm not that type of doctor. And he was like, the biggest hurt in my life came in 1983, where I was 14 years old and I still had a nanny. Well, they went back in Endgame to, I think it was 69, and he hadn't been born yet, right? So we know that the timeline is jacked at this point. And maybe it's because of, you know, Loki. So, I mean, could they do it? Yeah, but, I mean, I'm just going to say, man, it would just be so much confusion. So, you know, I'm fine. I'm fine. Yeah. I'm good. And G takes us deep enough, you know, in the rabbit hole, which, by the way, we're about to go to right now, the rabbit hole. And G kind of explore, because we were going to talk about the anti-hero. So G, kind of talk to us a little bit about that anti-hero. You know, give us a little explanation about why Marvel right now is using the anti-hero.
Right. So the anti-hero, whether you guys realize it or not, for, you know, true comic book fans and people that know the comics, they've already been introduced. You know, Black Widow is an anti-hero. Matter of fact, if you Google top 10 anti-heroes in your search engine, you can look up, we've already had the Hulk introduced, who's Bruce Banner. We've already had Black Widow introduced, you know, and who's an anti-hero. And we're seeing more and more and more. However, this concept of the anti-hero is the ideology that you have people that are extremists on both sides, right? And the true anti-hero will go as far as you possibly can to save or make sure that their viewpoint or their idea is pushed out, right? So you saw a huge character development with the anti-hero with Wanda Maximoff, who's now the Scarlet Witch. You know, she's going to do everything she's got to. For y'all who haven't seen the show, the end credits is going to show you she's going to do whatever she's got to do to get her kids. You know, you definitely saw it in John Walker, who's the U.S. agent. He doesn't care anything about anybody else but himself, and it's all about him pushing his agenda. So in order for Marvel to really expand out the universe with building characters and storylines inside of the MCU, they have to develop the anti-hero, because who else are these Earth-based heroes going to fight? Yeah, there's a lot of villains, and yeah, there's a lot. But in all ideology, when you really think about even the mindsets of like Tony Stark and like Steve Rogers, Tony Stark was an extremist. You know, it was about him. Now, he changed over time. And, you know, the big theory of the big question was, did Doctor Strange manipulate him to get him to like become a team player versus it being all about himself? So, but moving forward, there's huge characters that are considered anti-hero that's going to come into it. So, like you got, you know, like Submariner, that's a huge anti-hero. You got Black Bolt, who's a huge anti-hero. And even check this out, for y'all that don't know, people can say it, but Charles Xavier is an anti-hero because he's about mutant kind, and yes, he's about humanity, and yes, he's about coexisting. But in the ultimate run, in the ultimate timeline, Charles Xavier is about mutants. So you got to understand that's where they have to go to build a broader base, you know. And like I said, I'll put out more content as you see to give you guys an explanation, because when you see stories and characters change right in front of your eyes on the MCU, then you're like, man, where in the heck are they going with this guy? Or why are they doing this with this character? Well, what they're doing is they're going closer back to the storylines that made comics so famous. And, you know, it's always just one thing, one scenario, one situation that turns a person from a hero to an anti-hero who's in the gray to an actual villain. Because some of these people are one push or one pull to go from one end to the other. So I think moving forward, you're going to start seeing people that we deemed heroes. They're going to go into that gray area. They're going to go into that gray area. So I'm excited about it because it gives us, like I said, so much more content. You know, for y'all that don't know, Steve Rogers, comic book wise, he quit on the government. He became this character named Nomad. That's who you guys saw in Infinity War, where the star was darkened out and all whatever else, and he was walking around with a beard. He gave up on the government because he said that they wasn't helping because of the Sokovia Accords. So the anti-hero concept is the cookie crumbs or breadcrumbs have been laid out in front of us on the big screen already. But there's a huge push for this. And some of it's got to do with what Maude was saying, the timeline. You know, for y'all that have not seen the Loki trailer, I ain't going to spoil it, but you need to go watch it. Because we're seeing stuff that's not really right play out in front of our eyes. And we have not seen really, we don't know what the effects, for lack of better words, what the effects of Steve Rogers going back and being selfish one time caused, you know, this whole MCU. So a big thing about that is anti-hero. Mm-hmm. And point, y'all got to understand, not only was Steve Rogers an anti-hero as Nomad, in the comic books, Steve Rogers is an actual Hydra agent. He's Captain Hydra. He's got a uniform. He's got everything. So like I said, it can switch these guys on a spin if something bad or something good happens. Really try to move your mind and your thinking from the fact that all these people are all good and all these people are all bad. Everybody sort of got a little bit of bad or a little bit of good in them. It's just what's on the agenda that day. And are you going to be closer to your true self versus falling in line for whatever the spin that the world is having at that moment? And that, you know, that's the anti-hero, Maude, you know, for those who watch us.
Yeah, man. And thank you guys for the Marvelous Talk News. And thank you so much for the rabbit hole. And listen, you guys, I thank you guys for hanging out with us, you know, this past hour, man, just getting in that Marvelous Talk. And definitely till next week, meet us here, same bad time, same bad channel. For your main man, Big G and Dane, it's your boy Maude, and we are out of here. If you like the show, make sure you like and subscribe. You can catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on definitely Twitter. You can catch us on Facebook. I mean, everywhere you see is Marvelous Talk. It's branded all the way across. And come kick it with your boys. You all right? We out of here, man. We gone.
Peace. Later.